it's Luke, here for our top 6 DraftKings picks for this year's Tour Championship. Last week was an absolute banger for us. We had a lot of good picks up and down the board, from our core picks to our sleeper picks, our player pool in general, but no better than Ding Dan 255, who is a member of the GS Luke community, who went out and won $33,000 last week on DraftKings. So hats off to Ding Dan, absolute huge week from the community. Love to see it. And we had plenty of other Patreon members of our comments as well, take home huge paydays. So I didn't have an amazing week. We ended up being profitable, took home a few $100. I was a value play or two away from really taking home some money. But again, our player pool up top was absolutely flawless. Had pretty much all the fades right last week. All three ended up finishing outside the top 30. Also had a lot of the really strong performers last week, including Cantlay, who came through for the win. Obviously one of our sleeper picks. That now marks 2 weeks in a row now where we've gotten a sleeper to come through and win. We also had Bryson, who was the highest scoring fantasy player on all websites last week, as one of our core plays. DJ was very solid, finished in the top 10. Munoz was a very solid value play as well, finishing with a top 10. And best of all, in my opinion, obviously not the highest finisher, but Sergio Garcia with a top 5. Out of the absolute heavens, brought the putter out for the first time seemingly in about 3-4 months. No surprise that happens right before the Ryder Cup. But unfortunately, the scores from last week don't carry over into this week like many of the golfers get in terms of their starting strokes. Kind of wish it worked like that in DFS, where if you had a profitable week, you started with like a 100-point lead or something like that. That's what Patrick Cantlay is looking at this week. But unfortunately, we have to hunker down, do our research this week, and go out and beat the competition the same way we did last week. So in this video, we're going to be covering my favorite plays for DraftKings DFS, one in every pricing tier, to help give you guys some foundational pieces to build around for your lineups. Again, if you're looking for my complete projections, not just my takes on my top 6 golfers every week, you guys can catch that on my Patreon page. On there, you get projections for all the players in every field, my ownership rankings, my custom model rankings, access to a Discord where you can talk to the rest of the community, ask me questions at any point, all that kind of stuff. And the best part is it's just $1. So it's in the description if you're looking for complete access to my projections and the community, right down there in the description. So without further delay though, let's hop into the top 6 picks for the Tour Championship on DraftKings. And now for our top 6 golfers this week. You can nearly play these 6 in the same lineup on DraftKings, but I purposely made sure that they were $50,100 this week. So of course you can't duplicate one of my best lineups, but I'm going to be entering all of these guys into my lineups this week. They're going to be cracking my top 10 in terms of my ownership and my leverage this week. So you're definitely getting some of the foundational pieces that I'll be building around in terms of my GPP builds. For my spend up option, we have Jon Rahm. He's an even $13,000 this week on DraftKings, which seems extremely steep, which it is. He's the second highest priced golfer on the entire slate, but we have guys priced below $6,000 on this slate that are very good, very solid options. So he comes in as my number 1 model rank on the week, starting at -6, the 4th highest in the FedEx Cup rankings. And overall, he is exactly the kind of game I'm looking for at East Lake. And East Lake, I'm looking for guys that are great from tee to green, people that are coming in with really good form, and he checks both of those boxes emphatically. Over his last 24 rounds, Jon Rahm is gaining 1.97 shots gained ball striking per round. That is number 1 in the field. He's also gaining 0.74 shots gained putting per round as well. So not only getting it done, putting himself in great positions, taking advantage when he has those scoring opportunities as well. He let us know after his round on Thursday that the putting was the key for him in this rebound, in this recent success, with the US Open win, Memorial, close call, all that kind of stuff. And from the game theory side of things, I think he's going to have a very low ownership this week. Obviously, that $13,000 price tag is very glaring. It's one of the highest prices we've ever seen on a golfer, period. He's also only starting at -6. So Jon Rahm is behind Tony Finau, Bryson DeChambeau, and Patrick Cantlay in terms of starting strokes. So to pay up for the second highest guy, even though he's not with that elite tier of starting strokes, is going to keep a lot of people off of him. He's by and far the best player up top, by and far the best player in the entire world. Also has the best form of anyone in the entire world. So making up 4 shots in the field should really be a cakewalk for Jon Rahm. We saw him storm the field at the Memorial, take a lead by 8 before contracting COVID. So instead of taking on the field, he's just really looking at beating those 3 guys ahead of him, Cantlay, Finau, and Bryson, and he far outshines them in terms of skill set fit, recent form and career pedigree. So Jon Rahm for me, going to be one of my highest owned players on the entire slate. At number 2, we have our second man in, Rory McIlroy, who is a DK price of $9,300. Starting at -2 this week, he comes in as my number 8 ranked play in my custom modeling. So he's had quite the history at East Lake. Obviously, an impressive come from behind win to take his first ever FedEx Cup, but also somebody who had an implosion last year in 18. So we've seen the good, the bad, the ugly from Rory McIlroy. But his game is a perfect skill set fit for East Lake Golf Club. And with wet conditions expected this week, this is even more so important this time around. So we take a look at his play over the last 24 rounds. He's gaining 0.64 shots gained off the tee per round, also 0.55 shots gained on approach. Both of those are top 10 numbers in the field, exactly what you're looking for at a course that demands ball striking. He's also been doing relatively well with the putter. So we saw him over that stretch gaining nearly a quarter of a stroke shots gained putting. It did exceptionally well at Caves, gaining nearly 5 strokes putting. So for his career, he's better on the Bermuda grass surface than any other surface on tour. And that's exactly what we're going to see this week at East Lake. So starting at -2, he isn't in prime position to go out and win this golf tournament. But given I think this is going to be a scoring fest, and his game fits the course perfectly, at $9,300, he's one of my favorite plays on the entire slate. For my bread and butter play, we have Viktor Hovland at an even $8,000. He's starting at -3, which is a relatively good spot, especially for somebody down in this $8,000 range, and also comes in as a great skill set fit for this golf course as my number 9 ranked model in the entire week. So his game's a perfect picture for East Lake. You can just imagine that by how far he hits it and how straight he hits the ball. Over his last 24 rounds, he's gaining 0.6 shots gained off the tee per round and also 0.61 shots gained on approach. Both of those also top 10 numbers in the field, very similar there to Rory McIlroy. He hasn't been as good with the putter, obviously. So we've seen Rory McIlroy with multiple top 5 finishes. Viktor Hovland's had a few top 25 finishes. But if you can get the putt to come around, putts to start dropping, the putter to come around, he can absolutely put up the similar performance to somebody like Rory McIlroy. For my value play, we have Brooks Koepka, which is crazy, right? He's a value play this week, only $7,800, but he's starting at -2 this week. Didn't have the best week at Liberty National. Didn't play his best the week before that either. But last week really showed a lot of potential in what we're used to seeing from Brooks Koepka. He comes in as my model's number 14 rank this week, and over his last 24 rounds, which also include those 2 bad performances, he's still gaining 0.84 shots gained off the tee per round, also gaining 0.28 shots gained approach per round. Again, at TPC Southwind and Liberty National, really saw him struggle. He hit quite a few balls out of bounds, also hit quite a few of his approaches into water, but still has positive shots gained in both of those categories, and significant shots gained off the tee. So you love to see that his ball striking has still been there, despite a few bad shots from round to round. Even the best players in the world are prone to hitting a few bad shots. We saw Dustin Johnson shoot a 78 and a 78 right before he went on this absolute tear last year during the playoffs. If you guys remember that, ended up winning the Northern Trust Tour Championship, the Masters, I believe one other event during that stretch as well. So Brooks Koepka, I'm not necessarily holding it against somebody who's had a few bad rounds. It's going to happen to even the best. The icing on the cake for Brooks is that he has a ton of familiarity with the Bermuda grass surface. He grew up in West Palm Beach, still lives there to this day. And I can tell you as a South Floridian, that's all you find down here. So has a ton of familiarity with it, and perhaps a return to that grass surface does him wonders. Now for my diamond in the rough, we have Corey Connors at $6,200. He's starting at -1 this week and is a number 11 ranked play in terms of custom modeling. He provides an insane amount of value. Again, he's only $6,200. And over his last 24 rounds has been absolutely solid. Hasn't had the best finishes, but still gaining 0.63 shots gained off the tee per round, 0.4 shots gained approach per round as well. He's never been a great putter, but on the Bermuda grass surface is his best, gaining an additional 0.19 shots gained putting per round. on that type of grass. So at -1, again, that's why he's priced down in the $6,000 range. But at a tournament where I think there's going to be a ton of scoring, especially for the people that ball strike it well, Corey Connors could very well be the person in this range that ends up in the top 10. Now for our flyer pick, we have somebody who I absolutely detest playing in DFS, not one of my favorite golfers to support in the world, but that is Daniel Berger, who comes in as my model's number 7 ranked golfer this week, despite only costing $5,800 in DraftKings. That's lower than the minimum on your typical PGA Tour week. And yes, I know his starting score is going to be even this week, one of the 5 guys starting in last place, but he's somebody who comes in with a very good skill set fit for Eastlake. He's gaining a whopping 1.24 shots gained approach per round over his last 24 measured rounds. And while the rest of his game has kind of faltered of late, we haven't really seen the best version of Daniel Berger. We take a little bit of a zoom out, like my motto is, taking a look at more of the last 1 or 2 months of play. He's obviously been one of the best ball strikers in the entire world. At the BMW Championship, we saw a lot of that ball striking prowess, where he's able to gain over 5 strokes from tee to green. The only problem was the putter. He lost over 3 strokes putting last week, and that's not really something that we're used to seeing from Daniel Berger. You know, he's typically one of the top 10 putters in the entire world, somebody who typically putts well on the bent grass surface as well. So to see him struggle like that was a little bit strange, but now they make the change to Bermuda grass. Perhaps the grass changed, a little bit of optical differences that they have between the two surfaces make his putting just a little bit better than we're used to seeing. Again, on Bermuda grass, it's relatively easy to make a lot of the reads. The grain helps you out with that. The spots that are a little bit lighter, you know, it's going downhill. The spots that are darker, you're going up the green, it's going to be uphill. I think Daniel Berger goes out and has a very good week with the putter. So at $5,800, all he has to do is go out, shoot 15 to 20 under par, you know, just 15 to 20 under par. And that could really crack him into the top 5 or top 10 this week. Last year, that player was Mackenzie Hughes, was extremely low priced, went out, shot 18 under par, ended up finishing tied for 8th, and that was good enough to take home DraftKings contest. So if you're Daniel Berger, you're not looking for him to go out, shoot 30 under par, and win this golf tournament. But for him to go out, have a good week in terms of birdie production, maybe crack the top 10 in terms of placement points, that would be more than enough. That's all I've got for my DFS picks, guys. Let me know in the comments who you think wins this week's Tour Championship without starting strokes. So who goes out, puts up the best raw score this week for a free chance to win a month of my Patreon projections. If you want to check out my Patreon and get access right now without having to guess and get this contest right, just check out my description for a link to that. On there, you can get access to my projections for every player in this week's field, not just my top 6 picks, which you found right here. And you also get access to ownership projections, my custom model rankings, a Discord server where they get access to the community, and more. So make sure to check that out. The best part is it's just $1. So again, great value. No reason not to join there. Thanks for watching as always, guys. I really appreciate the viewership. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. It really goes a long way with helping me grow this channel and grow the community, right? Get this information out to more people to help them make better DFS decisions. So again, until next time, later on tonight, I am going to have my top 6 value picks out for you guys. Should make sure to check that out. And you guys can see my cat back there, adorable. See you guys then.